today to build the mass movement in the streets. Free, free, free Palestine!
Imagine waking up in the city that never sleeps and hearing it scream for justice. That's what happened in New York. This wasn't just another weekend gathering. This wasn't about politics or party lines. This was personal, the kind of protest that shakes a city to its core. You could feel it in the air, this electric mix of anger, sorrow, and unstoppable determination. Thousands poured into the streets, not just to make noise, but to make history. They didn't show up for attention, they showed up because they were done watching innocent people suffer, while leaders stayed silent. They came because silence had become unbearable. From Times Square to Union Square, the crowd stretched like a human river, flowing with purpose. You saw young students with signs they made the night before, mothers pushing strollers draped in keffiyehs, and even elderly men and women linking arms, shouting as loud as their lungs would let them. This wasn't chaos, this was conviction. And in every chant, every footstep, every tear rolling down a face, there was a message: we see what's happening and we won't look away. The protest didn't just call out injustice overseas, it exposed a fire burning right here at home. A fire that demanded to be seen, to be heard, and to be felt. This moment wasn't just about a cause, it was about a choice. A choice to speak up when it's easier to stay quiet, and when a crowd this massive fills the streets of New York with that kind of truth, you better believe the world is listening. This protest wasn't just about one event, it was about years of built-up frustration finally boiling over. The chants you heard in the streets of New York weren't only about Gaza or bombs or borders, they were about a deeper question echoing in the hearts of thousands. Why does our government keep funding destruction in the name of peace? Why are billions of our tax dollars being used to support military actions that leave families shattered and cities in ruins? The people marching weren't just angry, they were exhausted, tired of watching their leaders make statements that don't match their actions. Tired of hearing the word peace while watching footage of entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble. Tired of seeing innocent lives treated like political chess pieces. This wasn't about being anti-one, this was about being pro-humanity, about holding power accountable, about demanding that the United States stop turning a blind eye in the name of strategic alliances. And what made this protest different was the clarity in the crowd's voice. No confusion, no mixed messages, just a powerful, unified call to reevaluate America's role in a conflict, killing children, displacing families, and deepening divisions around the world. These people weren't asking for favors, they were demanding change. They were saying, you represent us, so stop ignoring us. The protest wasn't against Israel, it was against injustice, against a system where weapons get more attention than wounded people. And that frustration, it's only growing louder, because the more the government chooses silence, the more the people will choose the streets. It started with peace, with people holding hands, chanting slogans, waving signs, and walking side by side through the streets of New York. The message was clear, the energy was powerful, and the unity was undeniable. But then something shifted, tension rose, not from the crowd, but from the presence around it. Barricades went up, police lined the streets, and what was a peaceful expression of frustration and humanity began to feel like a battlefield. You could see the change happen. The crowd didn't turn violent, but the pressure building around them did. Some protests tried to move closer to key locations, government buildings, media hubs, and were met with force. Pushback turned into people were dragged from the crowd, some pushed to the ground, others restrained just for raising their voices too loud in the wrong direction. But even in the middle of the chaos, the core message remained: no one left. In fact, the resistance grew, because every time someone was arrested for standing up, 5 more raised their fists. Every time someone was shoved back, 10 others stepped forward. These weren't riots, these were people refusing to back down in the face of force. And the clashes didn't silence the message, they amplified it. Because when peaceful protesters are met with aggression, it doesn't weaken the cause, it reveals the system's fear of the truth. And in that moment, the world saw exactly what the protesters came to expose. You know what frustrated people more than the tear gas or the arrests? The silence, the way mainstream media barely touched the story like it was just another event, like it wasn't thousands of people crying out in the middle of New York City, demanding the world to pay attention. Protesters poured into the streets, but when you turned on the news, it was barely there. A headline here, a short clip there, no deep coverage, no primetime analysis, just silence where truth should have been. And that's when the questions started loud and angry. Why is it that some protests get round-the-clock coverage and others are buried? Why are some acts of resistance labeled historic while others are dismissed as unrest? It's not about which side you're on, it's about the pattern. When the media chooses which pain to amplify and which pain to ignore, it's not journalism anymore, it's narrative control. And the people marching in NYC, they felt that. They saw it. Phones were up, live streams were rolling, because if the networks wouldn't tell the truth, the people would. That's why social media exploded with videos, photos, first-hand accounts. The protesters didn't just want to be heard, they needed to be heard. And when traditional media refused to hold up the mirror, they became the mirror themselves. This wasn't just a protest against bombs or borders, it was a protest against silence, against the way suffering is filtered before it's allowed to be seen, and in that silence, the truth screamed louder than ever. This wasn't about one group, it wasn't just Muslims marching or Palestinians or activists, it was everyone, Jews, Christians, atheists, young students, elderly survivors, all walking together for one shared reason, humanity. They didn't agree on everything politically, but they agreed on one thing. Killing innocent people can't be justified. That unity was powerful. It wasn't about religion or politics, it was about compassion, about saying we may be different, but we all feel pain. We all want peace. And that kind of unity, that's what makes the world stop and look. Because when humanity comes first, the message becomes undeniable. This wasn't just another day of chanting in the streets, it was a turning point, the kind that signals something deeper is shifting. When this many people fill New York streets with one voice, demanding justice, demanding change, it becomes more than protest, it becomes momentum, a spark that can be put out no matter how tightly it's controlled. The message is clear. This is no longer just about one conflict, it's about accountability, truth. If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.